I've had a very interesting career. All I knew when I was a student at SFU is, what the hell am I doing here? I'm majoring in English. I don't care about Shakespeare. I don't have a clue what they're talking about. I'm a good writer. I'm a good storyteller. Surely there's got to be something else there for me. I ended up at this company called DynaPro. We actually launched our very first website back then. It was a long time ago. And that was working for Catherine, who took a chance on a 21-year-old. And I do thank her for that. And you just sit there, though, in boardrooms and just wonder what the hell the engineers were talking about. And trying to dissect this complex information and make a simple message was really what we do as communicators. But all I wanted to tell them is, just don't wear sandals with socks. It's atrocious. But Catherine can attest, it honestly had the best corporate culture, and it was a really great place to work, even though it was on Ellis Island. And the only exciting thing was when Tim Hortons went up next to McDonald's. We're like, woohoo! So after 5 years commuting, my Honda Civic had just had it, and so had I. And I moved on, and I went to Absolute Software, which is now a Vancouver success story. When I was there, .com, bomb. But we don't want to talk about my stock options, 10 years in tech and lost stock options. Being vulnerable here, it was around that time my young marriage started to fall apart, and I had this big empty house, and it was a really difficult market at the time, real estate. I don't want to talk about real estate either, actually. So I moved back in with my parents, which is always hard to do, and kind of put the pieces of my life back together. And I got a new job at another tech company, kind of following my comfort zone, which is fine, because at the time it was the right thing, not to change up too much. But I moved into my own apartment in Kits. I started really rebuilding my confidence, which I had lost my way a little there. So I started dating ferociously. I was like, wow, this is what it's all about. This is awesome. Sex in the City kind of dating. Carrie, not Samantha. So, I found myself expanding my skills. I was feeling strong. I was feeling excited. I was, instead of scared and alone, I could just feel something coming. But there was something missing in my work. And so I started volunteering at Canadian Cancer Society's Camp Good Times, which is a oncology camp for kids. And I was so over the moon passionate about it. I could not believe it, and it was really hard. I'm still very involved with the organization today, and it totally changed my life. And to be honest, it's totally prepared me for all the cancer that I've had to face. Luckily not myself, but many others, and that's hard. So, but at night I'd kind of, surf the web and see what the Canucks were up to, stalk their PR people a little bit. I was a season ticket holder, and I really wanted in, which is so weird because the VP there was my boss in the future. So, I networked with him, but he never took me for coffee, and I did stalk him. But I played soccer, I skied, I just loved athletics, and I knew it was where I wanted to be. But I would talk to people about switching industries, and they would say, especially about sport, well, you gotta know someone. It's really hard to get into, You haven't done an internship, you don't have a degree. You really should stay in technology. Pays better, which is true. I felt deflated, I really did, but I still dreamed big, and I still pursued it. During that process, I started to hone in on what I was really good at, and then I just decided I'm going for it. I don't care. So one day I made a big industry switch, and I landed at the convention center, and they were preparing for facility expansion, right? Beautiful, brand new facility. But oh my gosh, government's a little slower than I was used to. But world events was kind of a good fit for my next switch, which was when I got a call from a former colleague who I worked with in technology, so kind of the whole circle of network and why keeping your networks up is an important lesson. So she said, well, we've got a role that's come up in communications. It sounds just like you, but I think I'm going to get about 400 resumes, because that's what I'm getting for most communications jobs. So you want to throw your hat in the ring? I'm like, oh, no, it's not all intimidating, but sure, here we go. And I put it in, and went to the top of the pile because of her, which is great. But I will never forget driving up to that interview. I was sweating, my suit was soaked. I was like, where's the paper bag? I wanted it so bad. I couldn't believe it, and I could feel my blood just pump. I walked into this beautiful facility, and I really would have bet all of my lost stock options that I bombed that interview. Rambly. I got in my car, and I just started bawling. And I phoned my new husband, or husband-to-be. He's an engineer. And I just said, I was so inarticulate. It was horrible. And then I'm sure it's fine. I hang up, phone rings. I hadn't even left the parking lot, and it was Vanoc, and they said, can we have your references? I was like, of course. So, IABC's had a lot of ex-Vanoc speakers. There's probably a few exes in the room, I know there is, and we'd all say the same thing. It was like drinking from a fire hose. It really was. But it was humbling, powerful, and I really fell in love with sport because it's just the glory of victory and the agony of defeat, and seeing these athletes, like they could lose things in a split second and have to start all over again for another 4 years. And we would sit in offices and just pour our hearts and souls. And I was there when we got the idea for the Red Mitten campaign. It was like just blew up, right? And medals and ticketing campaigns, and we just put everything into it. From the top down, we'd all say we bought into making a better Canada, and we, in the end, we did. So as Peter was saying, after the games, I took on my biggest switch yet. I did not look like Katie when I was pregnant. I was like that. So the mother of twins, and there is no way there's a bigger adjustment than that. So when I landed at the Whitecaps after mat leave, I found myself in a very familiar place, crying in my car. This went on for 3 months, however, because I missed my kids so much. Social media had blown up my professional world as I'd known it. I was in a new position as a director at the executive table. I was responsible for the reputation of this major league franchise that was about to grip Vancouver. Man, I wish Della had called me and said, PR, not ER. But sport is not for the faint of heart. It's long hours, highs and lows. We're in the paper every day. Players do really stupid things. But it drew me in, and it gave my career kind of new meaning, and it made me feel really connected, which is really key. There's no perfect job, but if you do feel connected, it's going to make a big difference. And for me, there's nothing like us being in an empty stadium waiting for all the fans to arrive, and we're buzzing and we're high-fiving, and the players are walking in and they're all like, and there's also nothing like watching an 18-year-old when I was one of those cities, Kansas City or something, they're walking off the stage and they're just crying after being drafted, and they're in the arms of their mom and dad, because I'm a crier, in case you didn't know. But, and then, taking the players to Camp Good Times or BC Children's Hospital and just watching them bring all the smiles to the kids. So John Furlong once said to me, if the work's good, Carly, and you have passion for it, then it's right. We always want more money. We always want bigger titles, bigger budgets. But if you just connect to the values of the organization and what you're working towards, and it's something you believe in with your head and your heart, then you're actually pretty lucky. So I feel lucky, I feel stressed, I feel lost a lot of the times, but I have followed my passion, so I'm really proud of that. Try not to be intimidated, because really there's nothing to lose, and it's easy to say. Get out of your comfort zone. Starting over is really scary, whether it's personally or professionally, but it's the only way to get you to where you want to be. Volunteer for something really meaningful, because you never know where that might lead. Like I said, it changed my life for sure. Target coffee meetings, that's so obvious, but pay for the coffee. I've had people call me, can I go for coffee? And then I guess I'll pay, Don't compromise who you really are and what you really want. And cry in your car. Play a sad song. This is the real you. People think you're weird, but who cares? Your feelings are legitimate, and they need to be released so you can move forward. People seriously would knock on my window. You okay? Yeah. Thank you very much.